Shalom, family. How is everyone? All right, good, good, good. All praises, all praises. All right, so welcome to Faithful Friday Sabbath class. Okay, all praise everyone is able to make it. And so, what we'll be getting into with this segment, we'll be breaking down the book of Ecclesiastes. Okay, we break it down the book of Ecclesiastes. So, now what's different with this than just a normal Bible study, one may say? Well, we'll be going precept upon precept, line upon line, because many times we read the scriptures, but we don't always understand everything it is that we're reading the way we ought to understand. And let's get an example of that. Let's go ahead and open up to the book of Acts, chapter 8, and let's read verse 29 through 31. Okay? Let's get the book of Acts, chapter 29. The book of Acts, chapter 8, verse 29 through 31. The book of Acts, chapter 8, and verse 29. Then the Spirit said unto Philip, Go near and join thyself to this chariot. So you'll have some that are led of the Spirit, and you'll have times at moments where you might get those words like, hey, listen, hey, wisdom, hey, pay attention. You might get that. And this is one of those instances where Philip had that. Verse 30, and Philip ran thither to him and heard him read the prophet Isaiah, which is Isaiah, reading the prophet Isaiah, and said, listen to this, understandest thou what thou readest? So he was reading, he was studying. Yeah, I'm in the word, but do you understand it? And listen to his reply. Verse 31. And he said, How can I, except some man should guide me? And that's a problem that some of us have. Not all of us want to come under the umbrella of someone else to properly lead and guide them. Anyone can start a live stream. Anyone can grab a Bible. Anyone can begin teaching. But it doesn't necessarily mean you're apt to teach in the way that it is you're trying to teach, or at the level you're trying to teach. And for that, you have to first be taught. You have to be instructed. So that's one of the first things. How can I understand these things except somebody guide me? And it says, except some man, should guide me. You got to trust somebody. Somebody has to give you that knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. That's one of the things that it's part of the process. So, and with it, same for myself. I've been in what we would say the truth for 13 years now. I had to have a teacher starting off and be under the umbrella of someone else so that I can learn. And then from there, they help jumpstart your journey. And then, you take it from there. So he said, how can I accept some man should guide me? You need guidance. And that's part of why, I'm here to be that guide if you so choose to have me, and you prove me and see if, hey, he teaches according to sound doctrine, sound information. So, and he said, continue on verse 31, and he desired Philip that he would come up and sit with him. So he had that desire. You have to desire. You have to want it. Not everybody wants that instruction. I'm good. I got it. I figured out eventually. So, or just, I don't want to give that power over to you. All right, well, go to somebody, because you're held accountable for what it is you teach, and you're held accountable for what it is you practice. So let's get the book of Nehemiah, chapter 8, verse 7 through 8. Let's get the book of Nehemiah, chapter 8, verse 7 through 8. The book of Nehemiah, chapter 8, and verse 7. And it reads, Also Jeshua and Bani and Sherebiah, Jamin, Akub, Shabbathiah, Hodijah, Messiah, Kelita, Azariah, Jozabad, Hanan, Peliah, and the Levites, listen to this part, caused the people to understand the law. And the people stood in their place. So they gave the understanding. A lot of times you have the words, you have the scriptures, but you need the understanding of what that means and how it's being conveyed. Otherwise, guess what? It does you no good. I don't even know what this is, because I don't have the understanding, or I'm misinterpreting it. So, or I need better understanding on what exactly this means. So in the Most High, he'll open up that understanding slowly but surely as you choose to submit yourself to the application of the scriptures. And you choose to put yourself in a place to really live according to this, and really even more so, put yourself in a place to really make sure you study this. So verse 8. So they read in the book, in the law of God distinctly. That's what I'm going to do, read distinctly. And it says, and gave the sense, so I can make sense of this. That's what it's dealing with. So I know what this is talking about. And cause them to understand the reading. Okay, so that's what we're doing, making sure you understand the reading. Let's get Proverbs 18:2. Let's get the book of Proverbs, chapter 18, and we're going to read verse 2. Actually, we'll deal with verse 2, and then we'll read verse 1. It says, a fool hath no delight in understanding, but that his heart may discover itself. So only a foolish person, and a fool is one on the opposite side of wisdom. So they're going to be in a place where they have no delight, no desire, no pleasure, no fun, no joy in understanding. So in terms of having that wisdom. And so, but it says that his heart may discover itself. So they're not going to have that same level of joy in terms of obtaining that knowledge and understanding, and putting themselves in a place to where, hey, may you show me what this is talking about, so I can, get an understanding, because I don't know what this means, or I've been thinking about this for a while and I'm not really sure how to put it together. Oh yeah, this is talking about this. Here's the precepts that better expound this. Oh snap, that makes sense, And that's what many things in life, many things. It don't matter if it's mechanics, plumbing, construction, you name it. You need someone that's going to give you understanding instead of you just saying, all right, I'll just figure it out, which is not always necessary that you 100% you won't figure it out, but you can end up making a lot more mistakes trying to take the hard road and just, all right, I'll figure out eventually. Eventually could be 7 years, 6 years, 5 years. When if you just would have dealt with that person, you could have got it in a year, maybe a month. All depends on the information. So, but that's again, having that guide and the quality of that guide. So now it says, and read on verse 1, through desire, a man having separated himself, seeketh and intermeddleth with all wisdom. That's it. You got to desire it. Not everyone has the same level of desire. Some people don't seek to understand these things as well as the next person may. It's, again, people have different levels of faith, different levels of their level of devotion and dedication to the Most High, and putting themselves in a place to even become wiser in life with many things. The scriptures are multifaceted. You learn and master these things, it can help you out. It can help you be a better father, brother, sister, uncle, auntie, mother, father, whatever it is. So it can help you in those ways, help you be better on your job if you take heed and apply these things. So let's go ahead and let's get the last one, Ecclesiastes 12:9. This is the preface and the opening, last one for this. So let's get Ecclesiastes chapter 12. And we're going to read verse 9. The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12 and verse 9. And it reads, and moreover, because the preacher was wise. So that's first off, finding someone that has some wisdom. And some of you may have some wisdom in some things, and that's good, and the things you have, you're able to teach on. It said, because he was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. Yea, he gave good heed. So he taught the people knowledge, but he also made sure he was taking good heed to it himself. That's very important. Not only to not be a hypocrite in front of the people, which is very major, you don't want to do that, but then also making sure you have success in your own life as well. Which also helps it easier and puts you in a prime place to be able to teach others, because I can show in my own life and walk how this has been successful versus something that, man, I don't personally do, but I'm aware of it, so I teach because I'm aware of it. So that's the other side of it. It says he gave good heed and sought out. That's another. He gave good heed and he sought out. He was seeking these things out. Not everyone is putting themselves in a place to try to seek these things out. You have to put yourself in a place to where these things, hey, if you want to teach, you have to first put yourself in a position to be taught and seek out these things so that you'll have the information and the understanding to be able to convey it unto another, convey it unto somebody else. And set in order many proverbs. That's what we're dealing. Many proverbs are wise sayings. You set these things in order so that way I don't just put anything out there, or any wise saying. Nah, I try to make sure that it's in season, the things in which I'm speaking on or conveying, and whether it's in my day-to-day conversations or just even the things that I teach. So, and that's what we're doing here with this segment. So starting with some of the books that are good to learn in terms you get a lot of wisdom from, a lot of wisdom from, and it's not meant to be a speed read and just, all right, let's just get through all of chapter 2, chapter 3, and no, it's meant to be able to understand, what each verse is really talking about, because one verse can vary from the next in terms of what it's dealing with, and you have some, this is still contextually dealing with the same thing, So let's get that. Let's get Ecclesiastes, or the preacher, the book of the preacher. And let's get chapter 1 and verse 1. The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1 and verse 1. It says, the words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. So this is actually dealing with King Solomon, okay? This is who we're dealing with, okay? The son of David, the king in Jerusalem, okay? And that son in particular who was king after David was Solomon, okay? That is making reference of. So in verse 12 and 13, which we'll get to, is another precept to more so elaborate on that. Verse 2, and he says, vanity of vanities, saith the preacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. So he's making a point, and something that is dealing with vanity, that's something that's vain, something that lacks a level of worth. So it's essentially worthless if we deal with the word vanity. Okay, and I'll get, even that certain things I'll get in the Strongs too in terms of what it may say. But vanity comes from H1892, and it's from H1891, emptiness or vanity. Figuratively, something transitory and unsatisfactory, often used in an adverb. So you're dealing with something that it's really something that's not really going to satisfy you. It's empty, it's not as fulfilling. And you're really going to get that a lot of things in life is not as fulfilling as what it is what one may think it to be. And that's important because you would think, and he's speaking from that point as the king, and the king has access to many of life's pleasures and many things that the average person would seek to acquire. So he's saying, look, even me in this position, understand many things in which you're looking to obtain, at the end of the day, it's worthless. It's worthless. Well, you're just saying the king because you got this and you got that. Well, it takes someone in that position to be able to say that, to be on the other side and speak, because when you're not there, you're thinking about what it is you might do, what you can gain, and how that might be once you get there. But then you get there, and it's not everything that it was cracked up to be on many levels. People say, oh, man, if I just had the time and the time to do this and that. A lot of times you had the time, you would simply waste it away on something else. You wouldn't even oftentimes align the things this, because now you got so much of it. So now there's no longer a priority. And because there's no priority, because you don't have to attend these other things, you waste more time. You procrastinate more. So and that actually can make you more slothful. So because now you have more time, but not enough things to significantly occupy that time of significant importance. So there has to be a balance. And then the same thing in terms of, or on another note, you might look at, well, if I just had a lot more time, I didn't have to do this. Okay, on another instance, you could be in a space to where you have the time, And you could be in a place to where you have the time in which you were seeking to gain, but then if you have all the time, you're in a place, if you don't have something to do, what happens? You start getting bored. Same time, like many guys know, when you was kids, summer vacation come, you enjoyed summer vacation the first few days, it was heavenly. Then you had it the first week, couple of weeks, it was still good. Then after a while, it's like, dang, you start getting bored. What am I going to do now? You didn't ran out of things to do. You didn't did everything. And now because you're so used to having all the time, you don't have enough things to occupy all that space. Now you start getting bored. Boredom starts, and then you start getting ready. Man, I'm ready for school to come back. So why? Because I have more things to occupy my time. And then with that, a big part of it is that now I look forward to the free time. Because the more you work, the more pleasure you get from that relaxation. Whereas if you're always relaxing, you don't get as much pleasure from it anymore. It starts to become dull to you. And then that's how, like the scripture deal with, through idleness, you start, or even as many people say, you know, and idle mind is what? An idle mind, idle time creates a playground for the devil. So idleness of the hands, idleness of the mind, it's Satan's workshop. Because you start thinking about all these things you can start doing, and you start going off the deep end. Just something as simple as that. So same thing with a lot of things, because he starts to break down throughout the rest of the book so many things that are just vain, in which we think of, from money, you know, tangible things, and it's all worthless. And he breaks down why as we'll read on. It said, verse 3, what profit hath a man of all his labor which he taketh under the sun? So you got to think about anything it is you're doing, anything it is you're working on or building. This isn't just in terms of your 9 to 5. This is, oh, you know what? I'm building this book club, and this is what I'm doing. Or I'm you know, for me, you know, I'm hosting these lives, you know, for my games, or, you know, whatever else it is that you're doing. A lot of things is just, what is the profit in it? You know, what good is it? That's what he's dealing with anything and everything you do. What's the come of it? Verse 4, and he explains this, and it seems to be different, but it's part of it. It said, one generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. Now, that's another precept. If you're dealing with the earth, is something that was made and established to abide forever, continually. The earth itself. But worlds are subjective. You have the plant world, you know, the animal world, you know, you have different worlds on earth. So, but the planet itself was made to abide forever. But the worlds, you know, there are many worlds, you know, both subjective and objective. If someone's in their own mind, they be in their own world. So things of that nature, whatever that world is, subject to their imagination. So now, it's dealing with one generation pass away and another generation cometh. So that segues from verse 3, because it's dealing with, at the end of the day, you're going to die. One day you're going to die. From everything you're doing, at the end of the day, what profit is this if one day you're going to pass away, then a whole nother generation is going to come after you? Because with generation, it has two main definitions. It comes from H1755. So door, or door, or doorway. So strong definition from H1752, properly, a revolution of time. That is an age or generation. So in one instance, generation, you could say, okay, I'm one generation, my kids, different generation, my wife, different generation from me. You know, every so many years, you have a different generation. That's why I say, like, Gen Z, Gen X, millennials, things of that nature. Those are all generations, okay? You have generations. And then on the flip side of that, you also have it to where all of us living at this time are one generation. So all of us living. Then we all die, another generation come after that. So both of those are covered in there. That's why it says properly a revolution of time, that is an age or generation, also a dwelling. Why dwelling? Because again, all those that are dwelling, living at that time. So it says age, evermore, generation. So that's how you have with that. So now verse 5, it said the sun also arises and the sun goeth down and hastens to a place where he arose. So time is still flying and passing, but what are you doing with it? And are you doing something that is of profit? And that profit isn't necessarily something that is generating revenue, financial profit. That's one part of profit. But it's also in terms of is it really worth something? How much is this worth compared to something else you could be doing or may have been doing? What's the level? What's the value? Then how much time are you putting into that? How much time should you put into that versus what is it worth? So, and if you really meditated on the profit of it, would it still be worth something to continue to do? Even considering some other things that may come a year down the line, 5 years, 10 years, 20. So now read on verse 6. It said, the wind goeth toward the south, and turneth about unto the north. It whirleth about continually, and the wind returneth again according to its circuits. So the wind, it has a path. Even though we can't see it, but hey, it goes north, south, but then it turns right on about, time keeps rolling. Verse 7, all the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. So, and that's something to marvel at, because all the rivers run into the sea, but yet the sea is not full. You'll never see like, whoop, I think the sea about to run out of room. If the Euphrates keep running at this pace, that's it. Because showing a lot of things are just on cycles, rinse, wash, repeat. It says, unto the place from whence the rivers come, thither they return again. So in that, a lot of things are on cycles. A lot of things are on cycles, it's a process of cycles. 8, all things are full of labor. Anything you want to do, it doesn't matter if you want to start a business, doesn't matter if you want to have children, it doesn't matter if you want to just get married. Doesn't matter if you want to buy a game. Guess what? A game is going to have a certain level of labor to put in to both purchase, install, put it in, and then to also play it. So certain level of labor, certain level of mental labor that put in. Some games are more relaxing. Some require more mental fortitude, and patience to pass, more strategy. So certain things require more thought, just like with certain other games and board games. So some are just pretty simple. Others require more patience and more strategy, more thinking. So there's still labor to be done. It's just what type of labor. And is that something I'm willing and ready to do? So all things are full of labor. Man cannot utter it. Meaning what? Not necessarily that you can't speak on those things. It's just when you weigh in the balance in terms of how many things on the face of the earth are full of labor, it's just so much to count, so much to be able to say, and all the steps involved with doing that. So that even you may not even think of, even because certain things, it might just be natural for you. So many things from, washing dishes to washing clothes, washing cars, and, live streaming and, raising kids. Just so many different things, just full of so many labors, so many steps, so much time. So it says, reading on in verse 8, the eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. There's a lot of wisdom in that. Why? Because no matter how much you see, it don't matter if you've been seeing for a year, you a year old, you 10 years old, you 20, you 30, 40, 50, you still wouldn't want to go blind. You still wouldn't want to be in a place without your sight. There's still things you still want to see. And with that ability to want to see, there's still going to be things that you want, that you're going to desire because you can see. Dang, that look nice. I want that. Dang, ooh, look at that. Oh, man. You're still never tired of like, all right, you know what? I hit 52. I'm done with seeing. I done seen everything life had to offer. I can wrap these eyes away. I'm good with them. They done seen it all. So you never finish with seeing. You always want to see more. Same with hearing. You hear stuff all the time, but yet and still, there's still things you love to listen to. Sometimes it's listening to some of your favorite music. Other times you like listening to some of your favorite people that you like to listen or talk to. Need to be on a day-to-day in terms of your social network and your social circle, or just in terms of your social media, in terms of who you like to listen to. So you still don't get tired of listening. I gotta tune in to so and so. I gotta watch so and so. Man, I gotta call so and so. I love hearing their voice. So you never get tired. So now verse 9. And it says, the thing that hath been, it is that which shall be. And that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. Some people take the last part of that statement and think, oh man, new stuff is coming out all the time. Well, guess what? A lot of that new stuff is built off of the old stuff. It's just different variations of it. Sending an email, that's new. They weren't doing that thousands of years ago. An email is what? What does the E stand for? Electronic mail. Took the physical and we made it digital. But it was still something that was already established. Even with mail, they made, all right, well, shoot, we can fly stuff out now, well, before we had messengers, we were able to send things on horseback, walking. Hey, they don't use horses now to deliver mail the way they used to. Maybe in some, towns they might do, some small places, but, they use vehicles. People may say, well, even with that, we got vehicles now. Vehicles just a modern day form of transportation. Before they had horses. So horsepower, that's part of why they call that with the engine, So, but it's one of those things to where there was something that came prior to that this was built and established on. If you take the time to really meditate on it or do the research, you'll see, okay, this came from this, something that was already pre-established or preordained. So that's why the scriptures say in terms of there's no new thing under the sun, because it was already from a form of something else. So, and now it said the thing that hath been is that which shall be. So, and this is actually something in particular. I'll hold this and get Ecclesiastes 6 and 10, which we'll get to. Ecclesiastes chapter 6 and verse 10. And it reads, Ecclesiastes chapter 6 and verse 10, that which hath been is named already, and it is known that it is man. Neither may he contend with him that is mightier than he. So that thing that hath been, that thing that will be is man. Mankind. So it's been here and will be here. So in one way, shape, form, or another. People say, they always say, well, life after humans. It wouldn't be life. So it's still going to be humans. How you know? Because thus saith the Lord. There will continue to be. He's not when he destroyed the earth before, he didn't wipe out all of humanity. So he saved a remnant. Even so, he's always going to preserve a remnant. So that, hey, everybody won't die. Many may. But I have a good number that also live and survive and thrive if they're righteous and they stay righteous. So now, verse 11, going back to Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 11. There is no remembrance of former things. Now, why is this saying this? Because this is also a precept that segues into regeneration. Okay? So, in regeneration is that in which every so many generations, some may even give a specific number. You might hear some people, oh yeah, every like 4 generations. So I haven't found literally that in the scriptures, but every so many generations, the Most High allows our spirits to come back into a fleshly body after we die. So, which we'll get more on even within this book. So, but all these things are all lesson within themselves, which we'll get to in due season, most high permit. But that's why I said there's no remembrance of former things. Whatever former life you may have had, you're not going to recall, the details of that life as if they were recalled with the details of your current life. You're not going to have it in that way. So that's why I said there's no remembrance of former things. So, and what, because former is past, but how would you remember those things? Because you lived through some of those things. Some of you looking like, man, I wonder what it was like to live back in the 1600s. Some of y'all could have been alive then. I wonder what things were like in 333 BC, in that time. Some of you were alive then. So you just have no recollection or no memory of it. So that's just the reality. That's how it works. 11, continuing on. So neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after. It's doing the same thing. Even when you die from this life, there's not going to be any remembrance. And even if you come back in, there's going to be no remembrance. So it ain't like, all right, well, I'm here now, I should remember all these things. And nope. So, and even those born after, they'll have no remembrance of prior things either. So now verse 12, I the preacher was king over Israel and Jerusalem. So he's given this statement, and there's a reason for it. Similar to why I open up with the statements I open up with. So he's setting, a level of tone. Like, hey, I was in a place where I was king. I was ruling. And he gave what he did, 13. And I gave my heart meaning your mind, okay? I gave my mind to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all things that are done under heaven. That's a big part in terms of how you start becoming wise. You start meditating on different things. Some people, they don't want to put themselves in a place to meditate on different things. I just work, and then from there, I continue to meditate on work. I'm just focused. My job, my mind, everything is focused on work. And that is my craft. I'm wise in that. And some people, you see that, that's one of the main things people talk about is their job. Either in terms of from a gossip standpoint or from a professional standpoint. Guys say, I can't believe at work they doing this, and I don't know what Tracy's doing over here, and Tyrese doing this, and Darren over here doing. So that's where their lives are centered around. Others, it's, oh man, I made this. I've been working on this project. Man, it's been taking us some time, but we're really trying to get it done, because we have this major project we're really doing, and we're trying to get it done before launch on this day. That's where a big part of their conversation comes in. It's, oh yeah, this is what I work on. This is what I do. And then you also have it to where you have people, as it says here, I gave my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all things that are done under heaven. And it says this sore travail, because it takes a lot of time and energy. That's why a lot of people, I'm chilled after work. I'm chilling. I'm relaxing, watching the game. I'm chilling, watching the game, playing the game, on social media, on YouTube. They trying to just relax. I'm not trying to read extra books, study extra material. I'll pass, hard pass. So that's why it's a sore travail in terms of seeking out wisdom, So it's not something that is always fun. Some people, you get a kick out of it. Some people, man, I love, to be able to study and research, but it does get to a point to where it can become taxing, on the mind and on the spirit. So I want to actually get this in Ecclesiastes as well, in chapter 1 and verse 13, when he said, let's hear him break this down. He says, sore. It says H7451 from H7489, bad or evil, naturally or immoral. This includes the second feminine form as adjective or noun. So adversity, affliction, bad, calamity, displease or displeasure, so grievous. So, he's saying a sort of this is a grievous thing. This is something that at times is not always as pleasing. So these are things that he's saying. Let me actually get here too in verse 13 where he's saying travail. So travail comes from H6045. And so from that it is enyon. And that's from H6031. It says ado, that is generally employment or specifically an affair or business. So he said, man, this is grievous business. Trying to study it and find all this stuff to be able to teach, others the way you need to be able to, teach them, or finding wisdom in compiling that information. So it's not always enjoyable. But then why do it? Because I understand this is something that is beneficial to teach and for someone to understand and know. That's why I'm doing it, and understanding, like even the scriptures speak on other places, like, man, I don't labor for myself alone, but for all those that seek wisdom, that want to be more successful in life. These are keys to be able to help you unlock the mysteries and the doors to success, to be more successful. You get all them self-help books and all them gurus and stuff, man, the Most High, he built it in. A lot of times you just getting the watered down version from them, from things they read. Oh, snap, man, yeah, that's someone they read some scripts and they read a couple of verses and it's like, boom, all right, that makes sense. Now I'm going to write a book just off of them couple of verses and explain that. And then they make money off of that. So, again, so now verse 14, chapter 1 and verse 14. It says, I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and vexation of spirit. He said, now he added that on. Not only did he say it's vanity, it's worthless, but he also said it's vexation. Vexation, let's get that. Strong's number 87469. It says, probably from H7462, a feeding upon, that is, grasping after, vexation, longing or striving. So it says vexation, things that you still reading for, can't even have. I'm still trying to get this. I ain't got it yet. And that's part of what vexes you or stresses you. A lot of times stress because, man, I ain't got it yet. I ain't figured it out. I wasn't able to get it together. I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm still trying to get it, still trying to attain. I'm not at peace yet. So I'm still longing for it. It's still just out of reach. Still trying to figure it out. So now verse 15, it said, that which is crooked cannot be made straight, and that which is wanting cannot be numbered. There's something key. It said that which is crooked cannot be made straight. So now, what is crooked? It says H5791, avoth, primitive root to rest, bow itself, or make crooked, or falsifying. So overthrow, deal perversely, pervert, subvert, turn upside down. So something that's crooked, something that's bent, a bow is something that's bent. Not everything, even you think, oh, well, this wire is bent, I could just bend it back. There's still a good number of things, even when it becomes bent, you could bend it back, but it still ain't going to be straight the way that it was. And that's part of also what it's saying. It's not necessarily saying that something, you can't just bend it back, but it's not going to be 100 the way that it was. It's still going to have, some stuff you try to bend, it still got that bend and that curve in it. Or still now it's the piece isn't as stable anymore now that you didn't bent it back. Or still got that crease and slight bend in it, that slight arch in it. You put it back and it still got that bend in it, that elbow. That's what he's dealing with. And a lot of things are like that in life. Certain things you mess up, that's it. You over there supposed to be making rice, you didn't burn it, that's it. It's crooked now. Ain't no just let me just put some water on it and it'd be all right. Nah, a lot of times too burnt, ain't no going back. It's the whole that burnt flavor and got in all the pores and seams. It didn't tainted the rest of the rice. Same with that pancake. You making it, you done burnt it, then it's like, ooh, all right, let me just flip it over on the other side. But hey, that burn, it mess up the flavor. The other side, the other side was good. It's the same with a lot of stuff that be crooked. You try to bend back and, well, this part good, but this part is still not as straight as what it could be. A lot of things are like that, you know. So a lot of things are like that, and it's even given ways in terms of from both tangible things and even relationships. You know, certain things, once you break things of trust, you know, trust is hard to gain, you know, and there's levels to trust, and there should be levels. But then once you lose it, it becomes twice as hard to regain and establish it back, you know, even 2, 3, 4 times harder. And sometimes it's never going to be what it was. Never going to be what it was. You know, it's just tainted, you know, and it's just always going to be in that lesser degree, that lesser spot, because of the history or things that happen. So, which goes to show certain things you just got to fight to do right and man, keep it good or get it right the first time. So, let's continue on. Let's continue verse 3. It said, and that which is wanting cannot be numbered. Let's actually get that. So 16. So that was, 15. What does it mean by wanting? So straw number H2642. It says Chesron. It says from H2637, deficiency. So something lacking or that is defective or deficient. So said that, and so now it's saying in verse 15, after that, it said that which is crooked cannot be made straight, and that which is deficient or defective cannot be numbered. So meaning that there's a lot of things that are defective, a lot of things that aren't as right as what it is they should be, or aren't always as usable. That happens from many things, products, manufacturing, a lot of things that end up defective or get made in a defective way and have to be tossed. And even from the ones that get tossed, you still have others that are defective, that aren't always caught, that get shipped out. And then people open up a brand new box and like, hold up, part of this is already bent, this is already broken, it's already loose. It happens, but there's a lot of defectiveness that makes its way through the cracks, aside from things that they see and, all right, yeah, that's no good, we got to toss that to the side. Or we got to, undo it and put it back and remelt it down or take it apart and you know, redo it because part of it was defective. So, thing without number. Let's get verse 16. It says, I communed with mine own heart, meaning I'm thinking to myself. That's part of what it is that we do. So, I communed with mine own heart. That's part of that meditation. You spend time thinking, meditating. So, meditating within your mind, saying, lo, I'm come to great estate and have gotten more wisdom than all they that have been before me in Jerusalem. Yea, my heart had great experience of wisdom and knowledge. So he's spending some time like, man, I was able to be in a place to where I gathered knowledge, understanding, wisdom more than any of those that have been before me. You know, and he could say it because he actually prayed and asked the Most High for that. And the Most High, he appeared unto him as a child and asked him, you know, what do you want? And he said, well, shoot, I'm young. I'm still a child. You know, may you help give me wisdom so I can govern the people, so I can lead them. And because the Most High was pleased with his answer, he didn't ask for women or riches. He said, wisdom, hey, yeah, sure, I'll give it to you. Because wisdom, with that, you can obtain everything else. If you have wisdom, people say, shoot, would you rather have wisdom or $1 million? Give me wisdom. Because with enough wisdom, you'll be able to get millions. But if you ain't got wisdom, you'll lose that million real quick. It'll get poured right down the drain. You see it all the time with people that hit the lottery, become millionaires. Even certain people that establish billions, that establish businesses, they might get them in, but then lose it like that. You see it all the time, even with sports. You get mad and then lose it because you don't learn these other principles that you need to learn. And so it becomes something that gets squandered. So that's what happens. So now, verse 17, it says, and I gave my heart to know wisdom. So, meaning he gave his mind to, I really want to know, I really want to understand this. I want to know wisdom. I want to overall become wise. So that there's a lot of knowledge and understanding you have to get to be able to say you are a wise individual and have others be able to say, oh yeah, this is a brother with some wisdom. Oh yeah, this is a sister with some wisdom. You be a wise brother or a wise sister. Need you be older or younger? So it's just all about, are you putting yourself in a place to attain unto that knowledge, understanding, and wisdom? So you could be 60, 70, still be as dumb as a doorknob because you never put yourself in that place. And the scriptures speak on that. Wisdom is gathered from your youth up. So you can, it says gather wisdom from youth up so you may find it at an old age. If you ain't gathered much, you ain't going to have much by the time you get older because you wasn't gathering much. But then if you spend more time gathering, in conversation, talking to the right people, in circles, and then as you get older, you'll have more stored up. It's like with savings. It ain't just like a situation where I'm just supposed to hit 30, 40, 50. I got a lot of money in my savings account. Now you got to keep putting away little by little. Then over time, you'll start to accrue more savings, just in general. So now, reading on verse 17. Actually, I'll start from the top. Verse 17. And I gave my heart to know wisdom. You got to know it. You didn't just visit it. Nah, I got to know you. I got to get to know you. I got to spend some time. There's a lot of investment of time to become someone that has knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. And not everyone is someone that not only do they not put themselves in that place to become that or attain unto that, but then they may not have a respect for someone who has, because they don't even respect wisdom. Like the scriptures say today, we uplift folly. We instead of uplifting wisdom and those that are wise and of knowledge, we uplift things that are foolish, and those become the people we look forward to. And that's what you see more of a generation of people, and it's both older and younger. We're just living in a time period where everyone is trying to outdo the other in terms of who can make the bigger fool of themselves to get more views, more likes, so then they can get, hopefully, some money out of it. So that's more so the direction overall that you're seeing social media going with. So it don't matter from Facebook to Instagram to Twitter to you name it, YouTube. That's the general direction. Yeah, you have pockets of some wisdom some people might appreciate, but the overall, you don't see overall on them channels people who there's a focus where you're seeing channel, man, this is wisdom. And the stuff, even stuff that seems that has an appearance of wisdom, isn't wisdom. It's knowledge, it's information, but it's not necessarily wisdom, and there's a difference. So you can have knowledge, but even the scriptures tell you knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom. Yeah, you're getting the knowledge on the wrong things. You're getting the bad advice. So, especially with a lot of them, everyone trying to do a podcast, but everyone ain't equipped to righteously, even with just basic wisdom, do one. So now, reading on. In verse 17, it says, and I gave my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. Why would he say that? Why would he say I gave my heart to know wisdom and then say I gave it to know madness and folly? He said, because you got to understand both sides of the fence. You have to understand why one would move in this way in terms of why, yes, this is wise and why to do things this way. But then you have to also understand what is foolish. Why would someone do this? What would pressure someone to be in this situation? You have to understand that. Otherwise, if you don't, you'll go through life and you'll read the scripture, dang, I don't understand. Well, if he knew, why he do this? You got to know wisdom, madness, and folly. It's a combination. So that you can get and understand, Like in the scriptures say, one of the laws is, hey, or dealing with no man will despise a thief if he steal for his hunger, but yet and still, if he be found, he got to pay back double. Why do scriptures say that? Because what's understanding, if a thief is stealing because he's hungry, it's understanding he's not just out here trying to wrong people, but it's the fact that he lacks food. He lacks that nourishment. And so now it's, well, shoot, if I lack it, and when things, everyone has a different level of rock bottom, things get low enough, well, dang, we ain't got food the way we need to. We ain't got enough. Need to be just me. I'm hungry enough. I'm fighting against hunger. It's my life. Or shoot, if I steal this, well, shoot, if I get caught, go to jail, well, shoot, I ain't got much to lose anyway. If I don't eat something, I'll mess around and die anyway. So it's worth the risk. So, hey, and that's if I may not get caught. So, and plus, I'm just going to take this little bit. They look like they got a lot. They look like they got a few pieces to lose. So I ain't taking everything. I just need a couple of apples off this cart. And I'm good. So, hey, understandable. But yet and still, hey, now you got to pay back double. Dang, I already needed it. Yeah, but unfortunately, that's not the way to go about things. It's understandable why you did it, I get it, but it's not the right way to go about things. And for that, you still got to pay. That's the way it works. And so even you get so many different things in terms of, man, you may read various forefathers and foremothers that did certain foolish things and got caught up. You might think like, dang, why they do that? You might think, hey, how can you get caught up like that? Until you start meditating on the other side of the fence. Or as some may say, as you experience life more and you go through things and you start to realize the state of mind that you're in right now, that's not necessarily the state of mind that you're going to be in at all times in life. Certain times you're going to be depressed or sad. It's not as, dang, why are you sad? Why are you depressed? Well, as you experience sadness or depression and you go through certain things in life, you can see, you know what? I can understand how this can make somebody depressed. I understand how this can make someone sad, and you start to gain more wisdom. And then you can become more empathetic, more understanding. You can show more compassion. I can understand what you're going through, So, because I can take the knowledge in which you're giving me and also experiences that I've had to be able to put together that, okay, it makes sense why someone would be in this state of mind after this. So you might read the story in Genesis with Noah and just, dang, why'd he get drunk? He ain't supposed to be drunk. He knew that. He just uncovered and just drunk, just in the house, So he put himself in that place for his son to see him. People can have different opinions. But then understanding, you have to understand everything Noah went through. Noah was the eldest out of his family, hundreds of years old. Being that much older, think of how much more life he lived, how many more connections he had, friends and family. We already be crying over people we've known for a few years. Can you imagine a few hundred? And then just losing them in an instant? And he spent some years building that ark. That ark wasn't something that was built just in a day, a week, or a month. It was some years. I want to say approximately, don't quote me, but approximately like 120 years, 100 years. He's been building that ark, laboring, So I could be off, could be 50, but, I think it was from memory, getting my dates, trying to get my dates right in my head, but I think around then, So, but still some years building it and living hundreds of years without a shadow of a doubt. He lived like 700, 800, 900 years, but even, time he died, but even up to the flood, I think it was like 400 or 500 years, something like that, And but still, living a few hundred years, he had a lot of strong connections. It wasn't like he wanted people to die. He was still preaching and teaching the people to repent, to get right. Hey, God's going to destroy this place. People laughed at him, probably spit on him, probably, told him he was stupid, foolish, Things look good now. You talking about it's gonna rain, y'all gonna destroy this place, whatever. It look good now. Sunny day. It's bright outside. Not a cloud in sight. All right. Yeah, things look good now, but I said, hey, eventually you gonna destroy this place. Don't change. And eventually it happened. You don't think he was spending time like thinking like, man, mom's pop, Uncle T, you know, damn, Aunt Sheila. Oh man, my neighbor's like, man. And then think about, shoot, all the work that he still has to do. He still has to provide for them. He's the eldest leading his family. Everyone depending on him, looking up to him. Man, Pop, what we gonna do now? Man, son, yeah, I mean, we gonna figure it out. We gotta they had to rebuild civilization. They had to get everything back together. That's a lot of stress. And then he was working on that ark relentlessly, having to build and then getting the animals right. So a lot of stress can cause you to do what? To seek peace and relaxation. One of the main ways is alcohol. And I can have a little too much. And and it causes me to become that much more relaxed and that much more complacent. Put one in that type of situation. So, but as you meditate on these things and you have certain life experience, it starts to connect the dots better. But if you don't meditate on it, in conjunction, if you haven't had certain experience, seen certain things, then you could become that much more disconnected. So, and not understand how something like this can even come about. So, it happens. So, people are like, how did David commit adultery? No different than how some people commit adultery today. How many people fornicate today? So, it becomes a simple thing when you're in a different state of mind. So, but yeah, he knew. Knowing is they say it's only 1/4 of the battle. You can know all day, but how well do you understand? To know is to have an awareness. I have to be aware of the information, but then once you know, how well do you understand that information? That's part 2. And then part 3, can you apply it? You can know and understand and not apply it at all. Hey, don't you know you're not? Oh yeah, I know. Oh, don't you know that can cause? Yeah, I know. But you still, oh yeah, man, understand. Can you apply? And then even once you begin to apply, can you maintain? That's the last part. Can you maintain this? Can you keep this going? All that has to come together in order to put you in a space to where I'm good. And that's a battle. Each and every one of that is a new step. So you can do it today. Can you do it tomorrow? And the next day and over again. So, but there's even more on those things, but this is everything in terms you have to choose to spend time to meditate, to think in these ways, to really truly understand these things. That's what Solomon was doing. That's why he said, 17, I gave my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. And they said, I perceive that this also is vexation of spirit. He said, look, this also too, to do this, to put yourself in a place where you're always thinking about, why? Well, see, when you do this, it can cause one to think like this, or then it causes one to move in this way, or then now it puts you in this mindset when you start moving like this, then you got to sneak like, then you looking over your shoulder now, and it's a process. To have to go through that takes a lot of mental bandwidth. That's what he's saying. Verse 18, for in much wisdom is much grief. That's what he's saying. The wiser you get and you take time to do this, it starts to become more grievous. One of the biggest problems is, you becoming knowledgeable and wise that deal with all those that lack it. So that's where some say, to a degree, ignorance is bliss. Because if I can just ignore the problem, it gives me a little peace of mind temporarily. But it doesn't absolve you from the issues or what's going on. So now it says, and he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow. So at times increasing that knowledge can increase your sorrow because you become more aware. Just like walking this walk in sincerity and the truth, the scriptures say our people in the world are going through the same afflictions as us in the truth. Why does it seem harder in the truth? Because you're more aware as to what you're going through and why you're going through it. And you know it's not going to be a quick solve issue. But this was Ecclesiastes chapter 1, part 1. Thank you for all those that join with us. If you like the words, please like, share, subscribe. And I'm Brother Yatab, Bishop of Sound Faith Ministries. And hopefully, most high willing, I'll catch you guys on the next episode, the next part, okay? With that, I say shalom.